Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's story is the start of a brand new series by a brand new writer by the name of SPNsuperFan1 over on Reddit No Sleep. As ever, please do let me know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help with the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid crew. And so, with that aside, let's get into tonight's story, entitled Monster Mercenary. Let's get straight into that. My name is Jack. My last name is unimportant, and I am a monster mercenary, A.K.A. a person who kills monsters for money. I don't give a shit if you believe me or not, but the supernatural exists. This all started when I was 16. I am 19 now and almost 20, and it was the worst night of my life. That night was when my only light in this horrid world got snuffed out by one of the evilest things to exist. My parents were the biggest pieces of shit I'd ever met, other than Ivy's parents, of course. They were neglectful, abusive, drug addicts who drank anything with alcohol in it. When I was 10, I, unfortunately and fortunately, met Ivy. Her parents were the same as mine, and we found a solace in each other's company. We each could relate to the horrors that happened at the other's home and schemed, dreamed and planned of another life where we were happy together and would be the bestest of friends. As soon as we turned 13, we found jobs that paid under the table and saved every penny. When we turned 14, we filed for emancipation and found a small but cosy apartment in the town over. And the next 2 years were full of bliss and ignorance as we went from friends to lovers. And then a vampire just had to go and ruin my life. I remember the event clearly. That day after school, I had a shift at a local supermarket. The bills weren't going to pay themselves after all. After coming home from said shift, I had arrived home to Ivy, getting all spiffied up, in the bathroom. "Where are you going?" I asked. "I got invited to a party. You want to come? I hear it's going to be epic." Ivy responded, coming out of the bathroom, looking as beautiful as ever. "Nah, I'm exhausted. I'm going to go do my homework and then sleep until next year." "Alright then, I'll see you in the morning. And be ready to pull my hair back because this party, it's going to be a riot." She cheered as she grabbed her purse and exited the apartment. I chuckled and made my way to the bedroom. My eyes had flickered open to a room full of black nothingness. As my thoughts became less clouded with sleep, I looked around the abyss that was my bedroom, looking for the reason why I was pulled from sleep. Eventually my eyes had drifted towards the doorway, where a silhouette occupied it. "Oh, Ivy?" I murmured. What I responded was a series of primal grunts. Sitting up, I muttered, "What the heck?" Not even a moment after that, a figure charged at me. Just barely dodging, I fell out of my comfy sheets and onto the cold hardwood floor. I felt something wet drip down my leg. However, flight or fight kicked in, and I was out of the room before I could give my leg a second thought. As I emerged from the darkened room and made a run for the stairs, the lightened hallway let me get a better look at the figure. It was indeed Ivy, but it wasn't at the same time. She was paler, eyes bloodshot, her nails sharper, longer, and stained with blood. And oh God, her teeth. Both her bottom and top rows of teeth had been replaced with sharp fangs. The thing that was once my Ivy hissed, and I made a hasty, apparently not fast enough, retreat because Ivy had tackled me and we both ended up rolling down half a flight of stairs. There was a loud thud as she smashed into the wall in front of the staircase. I quickly got up and made my way to the small living room. As I entered the room, I felt a hand grab my ankle, and I promptly was on the ground, smashing my face into the back of our couch in the process. I had blacked out for a second and awoke to Ivy climbing up my leg and digging her fangs into my inner thigh. When she chomped down, an intense pain shot from my thigh and dispersed throughout my whole body. I didn't want to do it, but I kicked her in the face. Her jaw unlocked, taking a chunk of my flesh with her, and I pushed her away from me, adrenaline pumping through my veins. I was able to get up and quickly wobble to the connected kitchen and reach for the biggest knife in the block. I grabbed it just in time, as her fangs were about 2 inches away from my neck. I plunged the knife into her abdomen and thrusted her away. Instead of falling or anything, she just chuckled and ripped the knife right out. She wasn't affected by the knife at all, and in fact, I was quite pissed at my attempt to defend myself. Not wasting another moment, I pivoted my foot and made a run for the garage, opting for a quick escape instead. Now you might be thinking, Jack, why the hell would you make a run for it to the garage and not the front or back door? Well, my dear reader, Ivy was blocking one entrance to the front door, and seeing as we lived in an apartment, we didn't have the luxury of a backyard or back door. Therefore, the only reasonable option was the garage. I had burst through the door that led to the garage and tried to shut the door for a few extra seconds, but I was once again thwarted and the door was pushed open. The door flung into me and I fell backwards onto the concrete floor. Ivy lunged and pinned me to the ground. I tried to hold her back with one hand and tried to stop her from ripping my throat out, and searched for something with my other. My adrenaline was running out, however, and I was feeling weaker and growing tired by the second. Thankfully, God, an ass of a guy by the way, had guided my hand to a container of bleach, and taking the opportunity, I unscrewed the cap and started flinging the liquid in Ivy's face. When she was knocked back, I poured the rest of the container down her throat and stepped back as her esophagus and internal organs were burned and disintegrated. A soft "thank you" left her lips before she collapsed onto the floor, dead. I sobbed. My best friend and true love tried to kill me and ended up dead. And then, as if on cue, the door leading outside in my garage was kicked open and 2 men wearing black suits entered. From the open door that led into my house, 3 men entered. 2 were in black and the other in front was in a dark grey suit, and the only one not wearing sunglasses. Great. I just survived my feral girlfriend trying to eat me to death, only to die by the men in black, I thought. As if reading my thoughts, one of the men grabbed me and stuffed a cloth in my mouth and nose, probably soaked in chloroform. And with that, a mix of shock and my leg injury, I was out like a light. However, before I slipped into unconsciousness, someone's words caught my ear. Damn, bleach is not something I thought you could kill a vamp with. This guy might be of use to us. That is, if he wasn't turned. I had woken up in what looked like a hospital room. However, there were no windows and the walls were made out of a smooth-looking concrete. It seemed I was in a room deep underground, and in this very room my civilian life as a teenager ended. My life as the mercenary Jack the Ripper began when I heard somebody knock on the door. Monster Mercenary Part 2. Let's get straight into that. Hello again, guys and gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Jack and I am a monster mercenary, aka a person who hunts monsters for money. Sorry it's been a while, folks. I just got back for a mission. It was an experience. Maybe I'll be able to tell you guys about it in another post. Well, let's get back to the story, shall we? After the knock on the door opened, why they knocked I don't know. A tall man in a dark grey suit emerged behind the curtain. It was the head honcho from back of my house. He had short salt and pepper hair that accentuated his dark brown eyes. Slight wrinkles crept up all around his face. He looked like he was in his mid-40s to early 50s. I later found out he was 35 at the time. He had a pair of thick, black square-framed glasses sitting on the top of his slender nose, and he greeted me with a smile. "Glad to see you're awake, Jack. My name is Colin, but you can call me C. How's your leg doing?" he asked. "How do you know my name?" "And my leg is fine," I responded. I lied about the leg part. It was sore, and whatever they did to where the chunk of my thigh got bit off stung like a mother. But I'm not asking for pain meds in a place that doesn't look like a hospital. "We know many things about you, Jack. It's our job." I rose my eyebrows. "What do you know exactly?" I asked. C pulled out a file from under the jacket part of his suit. "You came from a broken household. What a terrible shame, by the way. You and your friend emancipated when you were about 14. And let's see here. Oh, you are a straight-A student. Only 16 and you have a 3.9 GPA. That's pretty impressive, if I do say so myself." Astonished, I say, "Why do you know all this stuff?" He smirked. "Like I said, it's my job. And speaking of, we need to chat about the events that took place last night." I piped up in my bed. "I knew you were some kind of Men in Black bullshit." "We aren't the Men in Black, but they are bigger assholes than we are. No, we are Index, a privately funded organization that hunts monsters for profit. In fact, you're in an Index building currently. It's a bit unethical, but monsters are human, eating dicks with god complexes. Anyway, based on your impressive skills, fast thinking, and interesting method of assassination, we think you'll be a perfect candidate for the Mercenary division." Who and what?" I responded, confused. "We want you to train to become a monster hunter, essentially. Let me explain it a little more. Here at Index, we have 3 main divisions. Division 1, the underlings, the people who work in administrative business, security, cover-ups, and all the groundwork pretty much. They are the biggest division and are essential to keeping this place afloat and hidden. Then there is Division 2, the researchers. They do as their job title suggests, research everything about the supernatural, how they tick, and, most importantly, how to kill them. And lastly, Division 3, the mercenaries. We'll educate and train you on how to identify, capture, and kill different kinds of monsters in the cleanest and quickest of ways. So, are you in, kid?" I sat up and pulled myself up on the bed. Pain had shot up and down my leg in the process. "Listen, Cole." He shoved me a glare. "See." "What if I say no?" I asked. He grabbed the chair from out of my peripheral vision and sat down on it. He started with a serious, stern look on his face. "Let me explain something to you, Jack. Monsters have some sort of sense that only they can use. We call it their TI sense, or tracking and identification sense. They use this to identify other monsters in the vicinity, and they can also use it to smell where their prey have gone, if they weren't able to perform the kill. Your friend, who unfortunately turned into a vampire, got your leg there, and since you didn't die, you're like a worm on a hook for these monsters." "Well, you said it yourself, see. I'm skilled. Therefore I can take care of myself," I said cockily. Colin leaned forward in his chair and smirked. "Well, Jack, as of right now, Ivy's body hasn't been disposed of. If you were to leave, then it's only logical that when the police were to find the body, say from an anonymous tip, they would suspect you, would they not? And considering your little injury you have there, the evidence would be damning, wouldn't you say so?" That is unless you agree. Then we'd stage your death and make it look like you were both perished in an accident. All traces of you will be erased and we will rehabilitate you, and then you will start training. So which is it, Jackie boy? Prison or monster hunting? Good old intimidation, huh? I had thought to myself. Fine, and if you ever call me Jackie again, you end up like Ivy, I retorted, and C stood up. Good to hear, Jackie. Now, I'll let you rest, and I'll see you soon to get you situated. He then walked out of the room. I turned to my side, rolled my eyes and closed, and contemplated what the hell I had just gotten myself into. Fast forward 6 months, I had turned 17 and my leg had healed. It took a lot of physical therapy to get comfortable walking again, but by the end I was in better shape than I had been in my 17 years of life. I was about to start a 10-month course with 3 other people, where we would learn fighting styles and techniques, and how to track and how to kill monsters. The 3 people were Maggie, Trent and Ryan. Maggie was 23. Her mother worked in a research division, so it was kind of the family business for her. Trent was on the older side, almost as old as C. He was 36. I think he was only there to annoy the head out of me because he was just such an asshole. He thought he knew everything and would always talk down to everyone else because we were younger than him. And lastly, there was Ryan. He was 20 and we connected pretty well, most likely because of the small age gap between our ages. And he became my best friend, if I'm being honest. After 10 months of hell, training, we went on our first mission. A ranch in North Dakota was being tormented by a white widow, also known as a lady in white. They had a corrupted spirit of a woman who was either brutally murdered or killed herself. She didn't haunt the ranch itself, but the road to said ranch. The trucks that were supposed to go to the farm had picked up their products and never made it. They and the driver always ended up crashing into a tree and wrecking pretty badly, with even 1 or 2 fatalities. And the ranchers were willing to pay $4,000 because nobody wanted to pick up their products anymore. We were sent to investigate and kill the widow. After the job was done, we would each get $1,000. We all met in front of the rancher's house and discussed the game plan. Maggie briefed us. Well, we know how to rid a white widow by first getting her to admit how she died, and then chanting a spell that will force her into the afterlife. Now remember, team, we have to stop her at all costs. Maggie normally took charge when it came to the mock mission, so it only made sense that she would do it on the first real one. Everyone knew that it was best not to interfere and let her do her thing. She was definitely the best one out of the group. We should split up, Ryan said. Everyone nodded in agreement. Maggie spoke up. Trent, I will go get the truck, and Jack and Ryan check out the crash sites and do some research on deaths up on the road that are similar to the crashes. We went our separate ways and met up about 2 miles down the road with the truck. Brief us, Trent demanded as Ryan and I walked up. We believe the widow is Priscilla Perkins, Ryan responded, and I chimed in. She had gotten into a semi and later crashed and died into a tree about 1.5 miles down the road. And Trent just scoffed. All right, let's set the plan on motion, Maggie stated. And just before we got onto the truck, Trent tapped me on the shoulder. I stayed back a while Ryan got in the truck. Don't fuck this spell up for us, kid. If you do, you'll have more to worry about than being a monster hunter. He then bumped my shoulder really hard as he passed me. I rolled my eyes. Classic psycho, Trent. As the truck started and we got closer and closer to the crash point, and the pain in my thigh increased. Stop the truck, I blurted out. In the headlights outside, the figure of a pale woman with mid-length brown hair and a long white flowy gown appeared. We all got out and got ready to battle the entity. How did you die, Priscilla? Maggie shouted. In a low, hard-to-hear tone, she said, Slut. Get the spell ready, Ryan shouted. Just then, the ghost seamlessly teleported behind Trent and began possessing him. He pushed Maggie out of the way and made his way for the truck. And just before he made it into the driver's seat, Ryan yelled, You're not a slut, Priscilla. And Trent stopped and turned his head. Those were his last words, right? He called you a slut because you refused to let him take advantage of you? Ryan spoke loudly, and Trent nodded his head. How did you die, Priscilla? Ryan asked. He tried to rape me. I grabbed the wheel and jerked the truck, crashing into the tree. I died protecting myself. Bang! Trent's body fell to the floor as the fresh hole in his skull started leaking brain matter and blood. The spirit jumped out of the body. Chant it now! Maggie yelled at me as she still had the gun aimed where Trent was just standing. Without a second thought, I blurted out, Ad Pacem, while putting my hands together in a praying pose. And with a bright light, the spirit was gone. What the hell, Maggie? Ryan screamed. I looked at the body as bile rose in my throat. Needless to say, I had puked up that day's lunch. I mean, sure, I disliked the man, but he didn't deserve to go out that way. Nobody does. I said at all costs, and this was all costs. Now let's go, she said coldly. In fearing for our lives, we obeyed. We got the cash and called some underlings to take care of the body, and that was how my first mission ended. All traces of Trent were erased. Ryan and I continued to be good friends and partners for 1.5 years until he didn't come back from a mission 6 months ago. I presume the worst, but all in all I have no clue what happened. Maggie and I still continue to climb the ladder and become great mercenaries. She's stone cold and known for what happened during our first mission. She's a lone wolf and nobody wants to partner up with her, and she's been dubbed Stone because of it. As for me, I've grown quite the reputation as one of the youngest mercenaries to work at Index and in the mercenary community in general. I've been dubbed Jack the Ripper because of how notorious I've become. Turns out that I now have the TI sense and can feel monsters nearby. They can sense me too, but I'm faster than them. Of course, I haven't told Maggie or C about it because I don't feel right by doing so. You're probably wondering why I'm writing all of this, huh? Well, it's because of what happened on my 300th mission. All I can really tell you is that I'm in a pretty fucked up situation at the moment. Unfortunately, I have to go take care of things now. And so, I'll hopefully update you all soon. Wow. Certainly another one. Wow. Great start to a brand new series there. Lots of potential and different avenues that you can take with this one. A big thank you to the author, SPNsuperFan1, over on Reddit, No Sleep. Really enjoyed your story and look forward to the updates, and equally hope you enjoyed my rendition of your incredible work. Of course, guys and girls, you know the drill. Please do let me know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help us build the channel and the community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid crew. If you're an aspiring writer or would just like to have a crack at things like myself, why not get in touch with me at the usual email as on screen, which is dmtforestofear@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. I hope everybody's had a cracking week at work or school and studying, whatever it is that you do, and are trying to keep fit and focused as possible during these testing times. But above all, guys, remember, be safe, not sorry.